Welcome to the verse of the day. My name is Pastor David Pranga. I'm the executive pastor here at Brewster Baptist Church, and I'll be filling in for Pastor Doug Scalisi this week. This week, all our verses deal with evangelism. So when you think of people who share their faith, what are the names that come to your mind? For me, the first one that comes to my mind is Billy Graham. See, Billy Graham used to hold these huge revival meetings that filled stadiums. And people would bring their friends to hear the gospel message of Jesus. And Billy Graham would then share the gospel and the good news about Jesus, and people would come forward and make a profession of their faith. Some of you may even be thinking about Pastor Doug Scalisi. That was another person that came to my mind. And Pastor Doug, he shares the gospel message among 400 or 500 people on a Sunday morning. He does a great job of teaching and sharing God's love. But there's also another person that should come to your mind, and that's you. See, I don't completely understand it, but God has chosen people like us, ordinary people, who doesn't always possess the most skillful words or even the ability to answer all the questions that people may have for us. Yet God has chosen us to reach our neighbors, our coworkers, our family with the good news of Jesus Christ. And today our verse of the day is from Mark chapter 12, verse 31. It says this. So the second is this. It says, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. It says, loving your neighbor is very important to God. 8 times we see it mentioned that we are to love our neighbor. It is so important that God even made it a command for us. He put it just under the commandment of loving God. And then we are to love our neighbor. It's that high. But who is my neighbor? You may be asking yourself. And Jesus answered that question with a parable of the Good Samaritan. We learn in that parable that our neighbor is anybody that we encounter. See, God wants us to reflect his character as we minister to our neighbor. He wants us to be loving and caring, generous, kind, helpful. And we are to demonstrate compassion. Just as God has done for us, we should do that for our neighbor. This week we're going to be talking about the importance of evangelism. And we need to be able to share our faith, and we need to show love to our neighbors. We need to show love to our neighbors as this verse is implying. I was reading a book called Bless. It's called 5 Everyday Ways to Love Your Neighbor and Change the World. And I love the book because the author shares the importance of just blessing your neighbor and loving them in simple ways. And the rest of this week, I'm going to be sharing about how we can love our neighbors and how we can bless them. And each of the letters stands for a significant thing that we can do. And I'm going to share more about that with you next week, or I should say tomorrow. So come back tomorrow as I talk about how we can be a blessing. But I want you to remember that this verse, it calls us to love our neighbors as ourselves. God bless and have a terrific day.